Welcome to Dub Life Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. All right, welcome back to Dub Life Diaries. Today on the podcast, we've got a true craftsman in the classic car world, Mr. Jason Davis. Jason's a self-taught car guy, grew up in Sanford, Florida, with a Hot Wheels in his hand and a vintage junkyard as his classroom. From humble beginnings at local auto part shops to launching Davis Customs in 1999, he's now built a reputation for tackling the jobs that most people would run from. That's going to be rust repair and body restoration on classic Volkswagens and Porsches. We're diving deep into his journey, his passion for saving these classics, and what it really means to be the guy that people call when rust is eating their dream car alive. Jason Davis, welcome to Dub Life Diaries.
Hey, man. Good morning. How's it going?
What's up, brother? What's up, man? I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, man. This is awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we get hopping on this, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors real quick. Obviously, Volksmania magazine, as you guys know, I feel they're the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. Give those guys a jingle if you haven't already. www.volksmania.com. Use DubLife10 at checkout. That'll give you 10% off your subscription. Those are U.S. subscribers only. Also, a quick shout out to my buddy Chris White over at Riverbank Customs. Chris is a supporter of the podcast. He's an awesome VW dude. He supports the scene. Super stand-up guy. Check him out. Check out his YouTube channel, Riverbank Customs. Make sure you like and subscribe to all his stuff. Awesome dude. Awesome dude. All right, my man. Back to you. This is all about you. I'm excited for this one. I've been wanting to sit down with you because I've been following along. I feel like you got kind of a unique journey. For people that don't know you at all and they walk up to you at a show, how are you going to introduce yourself?
Usually, if they're at a show, they're driving a Volkswagen. So, probably already know them or I'm getting ready to know them. It's usually people come up to me because my bus will be right behind me. They want to come see the bus, and then we just get in conversation, and we'll be there for an hour. And then somebody else come pull me over. Say, hey, man, can you come this way with me? Yeah. Then can I show you my bus? I got rust over here. So I don't know. I think just, I try to communicate with everybody, really. If they come up to me, I meet a lot of people, and I've gotten really good at it because I was, before all this, I was kind of a shy person. I wouldn't do podcasts. I wouldn't videotape myself. I was like, it's more for the cars, but I do enjoy talking to people now. I love hearing their stories. I love checking out their rides, and they're keeping it alive, man. The Volkswagen world, that community is just amazing.
Yeah, it's on fire too,
Yeah.
And I feel like
it's been on fire. It's been on fire for years. It just took a little pause, because back in the 80s, my brother and everybody had all Volkswagens. My brother had a Volkswagen that was lowered. My neighbor had a Volkswagen that was lowered. I grew up with them. Didn't want one, but I grew up with them. So, John Bonner, Beaner, he's got a couple Volkswagens. He used to work at the bolt shop in Sanford, in high school. So we've always been surrounded by it. And it took a little pause for a little bit, but when it came back stronger than it's ever come back.
Right. I feel like, even in myself, I took a break from it myself just to raise my family and, but I had my first Beetle in high school. I was 16. I bought a 72 auto clutch standard Beetle, and I drove the absolute dog out of that car for years, man. I ended up having eventually to put a manual transmission in it because back in the late 90s, they couldn't find parts for the solenoid for the shifter.
Nobody wanted them either.
Right. I think they're still cool, honestly. That's just me.
Yeah.
But you said pretty much that you were born with a Hot Wheels in your hand. I want to start there.
Right.
What did that mean to you as a kid growing up?
Yeah, that's the phrase that my mom says all the time. So my mom is my momager. So she does all my paperwork for days.
That's awesome, man.
she's, she's in with me on this, and
Okay.
her comments always been, oh my gosh, he was born with the Hot Wheels in his hand, because I used to go to college with my mom, and I would take certain Hot Wheels and put them in my clothes, and go to college with my mom while she was doing school. I was playing with Hot Wheels, and I was absolutely obsessed with cars. Like that has been my whole life, and then I got into models in the 80s and in the early 90s, and I still built models, and I would do model shows in Orlando, and I mean, I got serious. And then I stepped into the big cars. So that was a big journey for me on that. But yeah, I mean, I had pedal cars when I was a kid. Anything that moved with wheels, I pretty much had it. Go-karts, mini bikes. I was just born motorhead, I guess.
Yeah, well, you grew up in the 80s, and you said, I believe in your past, that you had access to or lived around a vintage junkyard, right?
I did. So when I was 16 years old, I wasn't exactly on the perfect track at that particular time in my life. I was young, didn't know really what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to build cars, and that was it. So if anybody that knows me knows, I am an absolute Nova fanatic. I have probably, since I was 16 years, I probably owned at least 30 to 35 Novas in my lifetime.
Dang.
So yeah, so my stepdad's brother lived up in Washington State, and he lived in a vintage junkyard. And he asked me one time, he was down here, says, "What do you want? What kind of car do you want?" And I was like, "I want a 62 Nova." Now I was 16 years old. And he's like, "Come up, build the car, and you can work in the yard all summer, drive it home. It'll be yours." I was like, "Oh, whoa, really? This is for real?" I'm like waking up, trying to do something. So I flew up there, ended up staying 3.5 years. It started, I think the earliest car was a 1929 Model A, and probably the latest car at that time was maybe like a 78 Malibu. I mean, I literally studied, and I learned interchanging on parts. I learned to identify old parts. I can go to swap meets now, and I'll be looking down there. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's 47 Chevy." I just know. So basically, what my mom would tell me was that was basically my college.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
In the real world, if you look at like a leadership side, like people hire skill like that more than they do the knowledge like that. If you can learn it from hands on, that's what people want. They want experience. They don't care if you
Mhm.
from the book. What
Yep.
you're talking about is real experience. That's
It's
awesome.
a real experience. Yeah, I got to hold the rust. I got to hold the old parts, and I got to take them off the old parts. I mean, him and we built one of the first cars, hot rods I've ever built was with him up there. His name was Scrap Iron. He was a huge mentor to me. Was a 39 Hudson Terraplane. I'm like 17 years old, and I'm dipping into this car and learning the body work and all, everything that goes with it, and doing a frame swap. We did a frame swap on that car in the 80s.
Man,
So
this
I
is
was
stuff.
I'm
This
pretty
is stuff that there's no way you ever could have learned stuff like this in a classroom.
No, didn't want to either, because I was not a classroom type of person. I wanted to be in a shop surrounded by cars somewhere. That was, I would sit in class and draw cars on my books. I didn't. School was not my gig.
It reminds me of my 6-year-old. Everything he does is all about cars and cars and
Yeah,
cars and cars. And he made this in art class yesterday.
yeah, and that's awesome, because that's, it's that spirit staying in there. People say, "Oh, this is a dying art. This is a dying art." But if you really step out into the world, you'll find that it's really not a dying art. You can go on TikTok and see kids all day long doing hot rod stuff, and they have some knowledge to it. So it's coming from somewhere. It's coming from their parents or a mentor they have.
Right.
So it might be a dying art where you're surrounded, but there's tons of metalwork guys out there that are just unbelievable that I follow. It's like, wow, I'm still learning from them. I'll watch them do something. I'm like, oh wow, I need to change my technique and try to get as good as this guy, because he's really good.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome though. And to be in a position like yours, which is really kind of at the top of the Rust game, and still be like the mindset of being coachable, still being open to learning, like you're saying now, that's huge, brother. That's huge.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that's an awesome character trait for sure. But when you look back at the junkyard time, do you think that having access to cars that, you could just break apart and just whatever, do you think it kind of gave you more of a fearless approach toward restoration or taking them apart, putting them back together?
It did. I'll tell you what it really did was the biggest thing on junkyards is, and that's where I bought majority of my Novas. I had a stack of Novas up there. It broke my heart to see the cars sitting in the woods, sitting in junkyards. And so what I did was, to me, every car has a story. It doesn't matter. I've built a lot of cars in my life, and you will get a car and you start the project and you'll take the windows out and the back glass will be scratched. Somebody scratched that. Where's that car been? Where's it traveled? Who owned it?
Oh,
Every car has history. So it would break my heart seeing Carson. I'm like, man, I could fix that. That's easy. Why don't somebody fix that and put it back on the road so someone else can enjoy it? you know so, and that's pretty much where that started. And like I said, on that my Nova had come out of that junkyard that I built, and then that 39 Hudson came out. We went out and picked the car. He's like, which one do you want to save? And I was like, I want to really save that one, because every time
mm,
I walk by it, it
mm.
grabs me. It's like, yeah, somebody, the Russ is sitting there saying, save me, please, somebody save me. And I think that's really where it comes from. I want to save them all.
It's funny
And
you said
people,
you said that it kind of chose you. I feel like that kind of happens with these cars. I can look at them all day, but man, some of them they just I need it. I need that car. I
yeah,
want that car. I need that car. I'm going to find a way to get that car. And it doesn't happen that often, but it does
right.
throughout your life. It'll happen, it'll happen. That's kind of
Mhm.
cool. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and every car I've come across that I personally own has some sort of a connection. I don't know if you ever seen, I had a burnt orange and two-tone Bug, a 61 at one time. His name was Herbert. Everybody knew the car. But it ended up in a junkyard in Sanford, and I went back to get the car. Guy wouldn't sell it, wouldn't sell it. Well, I sent Bubba, Don Corsi, over there to the junkyard. He calls me, he says, "Hey man, you want to buy this car?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Give him $450." So I ran down there and got the car. And then I had to do a title search on it. So I did the title search. There was a lien on the car to a lady that lived off Colonial Drive in Orlando. And I went and met with her to get the title work done. And lo and behold, she was the original owner of the car. She bought it brand new in Winter Park, and
Dude.
she actually bought two of them. There was a black one and a white one. I owned the black one. The white one, her husband was on his way surfing one night, or one early morning. In the white one, he was killed. Somebody run him off the road. He was going to Cocoa to go surfing, and he was killed. So the way that the lien went in there is, one of the boyfriend later on in life that she was dating needed a car. So she said, well, you can drive this car, but I'm going to put a lien against it so you don't run off with it. But he
Oh,
kind
wow.
so he kind of ran off with the car, and she was like, "Well, where is my car?" And I'm like, explained it to her. So I sat down with her for 2 hours, and we did all the paperwork. And she couldn't drive; she was much older. And I told her all about the car, and she's like, "Yeah, yeah. Here's all the paperwork. Here's pictures of it." So I reunited just by that little thing right there. I reunited that car with the original owner. And
Yeah.
then when I was done with it, I drove it down to her house, and she couldn't believe it. I let her sit in it, and that was really when it hit heart right there. Is she had made a comment to me. She's like, "It's beautiful, but the memories are painted away." The memories of the car. It's so awesome to see actual car back in my driveway, but it's not the same car as it was
Right.
when she had it. And that really hit home. I was like, yeah, because now if I'm doing full restorations, I'm wiping away all the history of the car. So I try to keep as much history of the car as I can.
That's a really good point, and
Yeah.
that's probably gonna resonate with a lot of folks too. Just the fact that you're thinking like that
Mhm.
kinda shows the level of artistry and, like, true craftsmanship that goes into what you do. That's really, really cool, man.
Wait, I'll give you a really quick one. This is
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
latest one.
Okay.
Holly and I flew out to her family lives in Little Rock, and we were going to her sister's wedding. My shoe blew out just before the wedding. My shoe blew out. So the sole just started flipping around. So I was like, I'm going to run to the Walmart real quick. Go, okay. So I jumped in the car, ran into Walmart, crossed the street from the Walmart in the turning lane. In the woods, there is a grown over junkyard. And I could not believe the amount of cars that was stuck in this field in these woods. So here I am, I'm in a full suit, brand new shoes that I just bought from there, jumping the fence, going into this junkyard. I said, I got 5 minutes. I can do this. So I probably spent 8 minutes, but I wanted to go back. I marked that spot so I can always go back and see them cars again. I haven't been yet, but my goal is to go back because there was a couple buses in there. I couldn't believe it. And I did not have my phone with me where I would have taken pictures. But that's how I am. It's like I don't care how I'm dressed, what I'm doing. If I see something that's going to grab me, I'm going after it. I got to go check it out because it's a car. There's history out in them woods.
Let's touch on your past, like leading up to, Davis Customs. But I know at some point you had started at an auto parts store. I believe it was
Yeah.
Napa. What did that
Yeah.
job back then teach you back then about what applies to business and even customers now?
What I did was I am self-taught on everything I do. Painting the cars. I've actually done my own interiors before. Don't want to do that again, but I build motors. I can pretty much do anything. So I'm self-taught. So when I moved back from Washington State, I got a job at Napa. And the reason I got the job at Napa is I wanted to be surrounded by auto parts themselves. So I wanted to learn the different new parts and how that whole system worked. So actually, it worked out pretty good because then I learned how to turn rotors, turn flywheels. I learned how to mix paint and do counter work in a Napa. So when I left the Napa, I actually went to work for Havoline Express Lube. I started doing oil changes, tune-ups, and I had the basics of automotives, but I needed to get into diagnosing stuff. When I was at Texaco, the owner of that, Ted Kurtz at that time, he was my boss. He sent me to diagnostic school. I learned to do diagnostics and learned to do all that. At that particular time, there was a gentleman working with me that was another mentor. His name was Ron Smith. He owned Southern Performance Machine. He worked there for a little bit, and then he ended up moving on, and I moved on. But after I did that, I went to work in a tire store. So now I'm learning tires, different size of tires, learning wheel back spacings, So I worked for John Sellers at that time. He ended up being a very big mentor. I call him like my adopted dad. But I worked for him for probably 4 or 5 years, learning that particular business. And then I left there and went to work with Ron Smith at Southern Performance Machine in DeLand. And I learned how to build motors, pulling transmissions, building the motors, and doing all the machine work on the motors.
Wow.
So I felt at that time I was pretty good where I needed to be. So I started Davis Customs in '99 because Ron and I had separated. He was a chicken farmer, so he went back to his gig, and I kept the wholesale of the business. So I kept all the customers that were local car show, because back then, people were leasing cars and they would never change oil. And then the leased cars with blown motors would go to dealerships or out to the auction, and these little dealerships around town would buy them, send them to us. We'd rebuild the motor, and then they would put the cars on the lot and resell them. So that was a pretty tight gig back then when that happened, Started Davis Customs automotive repair.
So out of all those stops, right, to create the Craftsman, so to speak, which one of those do you think had the biggest impact on how you are today?
All of them.
All of them.
Really.
Equally.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I learned something from all of them.
I'm kind of envisioning you going through these different things, becoming a master of all of them, and it's like, oh, damn, you're lethal. You can do it all.
Yeah. And I kind of had to because I couldn't afford to pay somebody to build my cars, So after that, I started Davis Customs automotive repair, and I was done with it. I was done with dealing with the customers. And then I was like, you know what? It's going to be Davis Customs fabrication for now on. I want to get into exterior customizing and that style of work. So I took it home and started in my garage. I got another job at that time just to get the bills paid and keep Davis Customs on the side more or less. So I got extremely busy, and then Bubba brought me his Volkswagen bus, and I want to say it was about 03, 04.
Okay.
And if anybody remembers Bubba's first bus, it was a 21 window, yellow and white. It was a beautiful bus. I wanted nothing to do with this bus when he brought it to me. So I didn't want nothing to do with it. I was never a bus guy. I had just got my bug. So he's like, no, I want to put a roof on it, and I want to make it a 21 window bus. Can you do it? It's like, let's do it. So him and we did it, and we did all the metal work to it. And that bus ended up being a beautiful bus. Bub actually drove that to California, to Octo, I believe he drove it out there to that. So, and Josh Wheeler painted it. There was an interior shop that was in Orlando, did the interior. And the bus is just really cool. It was sitting on Fuchs. It was hammered. It was bright yellow and
Oh,
white. It was a cool
yes.
bus.
Yeah, I bet.
That's one of his
Sounds
first
awesome.
buses. Yeah. So it just started from that day on. I did right after that, John Botter Beaner, I did a chop top bug for him. It was flat black with red spokes. And most people will know that car when they hear it. They're like, oh, I remember that car. And it just took off from there. People are like, yeah, man, I want you to do some metal work for me to this. And then I just started gradually getting better. So I picked up a welder and I self-taught myself to weld.
That's
So
so cool.
I went and bought the welder, and on the way home, I saw some bed frame on the side of the road. I picked it up and I built that. I built the bed frame welder stand, and I had that thing for probably 25 years before I finally got rid of it. But
Crazy.
I built the stand that the welder was on, and then I just started getting better. And now I want to change over to TIG, but I'm kind of afraid to because I have adapted myself so much to wire feed that it's pretty much I can control my heat and I don't warp panels. I'm not into that. And doing all the mud work on my cars over the years, and I was like, there has to be a better way to do this. This is just not working for me. I have a rule. There's a sign in my shop says there is no Bondo allowed in this shop. Period. I don't like it because I used it for so many years that it's hard work, man. You got to be a sculptor to do that stuff.
Right.
And I was
Wow.
like, there's got to be an easier way. So I started welding and I started really getting into figuring out how I can do this without warping the metal, and it just took off. And then people started figuring that out and they're like, you want to do my bus? I'm like, sure, And I'll tell you that what really took off for me is when they had the crash. What was that? '08 or '05 or something?
Yeah, it was '08. '08
Yeah,
was collapse of subprime, and then all the real estate values plummeted,
yeah.
and
Well,
nobody could get mortgages, and then everybody started their houses. It was crazy time.
it
8
was.
to like 10, 11-ish.
Yeah. Well, I did 9 buses in a year that year at my house.
Damn.
They were packed. They were stacked up, man. I mean, on Saturday, I'd be pushing one out in the road to get on a trailer, and another one would be coming in.
Like
I'm like,
recession-proof business.
and it kind of was, and I was really nervous about it, but people weren't paying their mortgages, man. They were getting their buses done. They're like, screw it.
They're like,
You
"Hey,
know,
we're gonna enjoy it."
yeah, why not? I guess I
Right.
would have done the same thing, but I owned my house. So I was in pretty, good shape on that. I didn't really have to worry about it. But yeah, those were some good times. So the bus world really took off for me then. That's when it really got big.
Well, then introduce DC, which is your double cab, just kind of in the timeline, right?
Yep.
So
So
tell me about that story about how Gerson had pulled up to. I don't know if you were at your house or the shop and had this thing, but walk me through that story. I think that's
yeah, at that time, I was getting to a point where I think I was going to want a bus because I drove Bubba's bus and I drove some, like Nacho's bus. And it's like, man, I think I want a bus. So during that time, I was doing metal work for Gerson at my house. And I had 2 of his cars. I probably had 2 or 3 of his cars at my house at that particular time. So he had called Bubba and he'd asked Bubba, he says, Bubba, what kind of bus would Jay want? And he's like, I know he would love to have double cab. He's like, oh, well, that's perfect because I got one. So Gerson had taken this bus. He had sold it to somebody here in Florida and dropped it off to him. Well, the guy's wife came home and had a fit. So he called Gerson and says, dude, man, you got to come get it back. I can't take the bus. And he's like, what? Okay, well, I'll come back and get the bus. And he's like, well, when am I going to do this bus? So he called Bubba, and that's when that arranged. So I'm at my house, and lo and behold, here comes Gerson coming around the corner. And that old Ford truck he drove, and on the trailer was this double cab and a bunch of metal and stuff on the back. And I'm walking out of my garage, and I'm saying, no, Gerson, I have 3 of your cars here now. No. He's like, no. I was like, wait a minute, just wait a minute. He's like, I talked to Bubba. Bubba told me what kind of bus you wanted. This is yours. I was like, what? He's like, it's yours. He said, for all you done for me, you do a lot of metal work for me. Your prices have been good with me. He said, we built a good friendship. He's like, it's yours. Just, it's yours. You can have it. I'm like, well, in that case, let's unload it. You know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And then he says, okay, so what I want you to do is make a list, call the shop, have every piece of metal you want for this thing sent. I was like, okay. And and in the back of this thing was already a walkthrough section cut out of another bus. So I knew right off the bat I was doing a walkthrough. And I said, well, Gerson says, can you guys pop me out the pillars, the C pillars and D pillars? He's like, absolutely. So I turned it into a double door. So,
Ooh.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
wanted to. So Holly and I had never done a project together because we've been together for 13 years. And she's a little car nut too. So she wanted to get on the project. And I said, well, let's build this bus together. So there was a video I posted a couple months ago, her and I on the back porch, and we're cutting this thing open and we're making it a walkthrough. And we started. So I did 8 inches all the way around the bus, got it going. And she did all the patina work. She did all the logos on the door because my wife's an artist. So she does murals. Her artistic work is just amazing. So
Awesome.
she did all the lettering on the doors and she handled all that. And we got the bus going and done. And we took it to Nodo for the first time that year. It's been 8 years now that bus has been on there. The guy that he sold it to walks up. He's like, oh my gosh, that's the bus. He's like, honey, come here. Check this out. Look. She's like, oh my God, I love it. And he's like, yep, I owned that bus for about 5 minutes.
Damn.
So, yeah, so that bus has a lot of sentimental value to me just because it was a gift from Gerson. But, it's not every day you run into a double door, walk through, double cab,
Or
and
ever.
it's just, yeah, and it's a cool bus. And we use it as a family vehicle. I mean, I went and got fence on it a month or so ago. I bought, went to Lowe's and bought the big 4x8 panels and stacked them up on the bed, took it home.
Yeah.
The wife hauled mulch in it. I mean, we use it, and my daughters grew up in it, so they love that bus just as much,
Oh yeah.
But,
That's
yeah, the
perfect.
story on that bus is really cool. So that's just one of our we will not sell collection. I have 3 cars that I will not part with. Number 1 is my Nova. I have a '65 Chevy Nova named Scratch. I'll be buried in that car. And then I have my '47 Chevy Fleetline that I'm building now, and then our bus. And the rest of them, they're just fun toys to have.
Sure.
I enjoy them. Yeah. But that was the story on the bus.
What a cool story, and love that it's sentimental. These cars, if we have them for a long time, the experiences, the things that happen around us, the kids, the memories, they become part of the family.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. It really is.
Yeah, it's like Scratch. Everybody knows Scratch is Scratch. It's just that's one of those cars that, like, my mom will, she's like, I'll post a picture of my mom's like, oh my gosh, I love Scratch so much, or somebody will say, oh, I raced Scratch years ago, in the streets. It becomes family. And I have so many memories in that car. And Holly and I got huge memories in that car. When we met, I was in that car.
Mm.
So, yeah, and I've had that car for 37 years.
Dang, man. That's like your,
Yeah,
that's your that's your homie.
yeah, Holly said that's my firstborn.
Yeah, that's your homie right there. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something because I think this is what you're most known for, but I want to talk on it. Now, Rust, essentially, I think I saw something last year when I was sharing some of your posts, bring your Rust to us or something like that. Yeah. So you've said, or claim, not even claim, but Rust is kind of your specialty. Why do you love tackling projects like that, big time Rust, when a lot of other people might not? They might say it's too far gone or whatever.
There's nothing that's too far gone. I'm living proof of that. So I did, if you noticed, it's been several months now. There was a video I posted of a green 65 Mustang fastback that my brother and I built together, and he is not allowed to go look for cars without me. That thing was horrible. It was horrible. But I told him, and it's his dream car. So that's what really keeps me going is when he said that's really, and it has been, I remember him talking about it when we were kids, he always wanted a 65 fastback. If you can take and build somebody's dream and watch them smile when they come get it, that to me is the greatest gift in the world. This car, basically that Mustang, I changed everything on that car but the roof and the firewall. The rest of the car was completely reconstructed on my I have a table out there that I built to keep buses straight, and then I ended up just using it for any kind of car. So every car I've ever built has been welded down on there. And I'm actually building, so the biggest rust project I'm doing right now is that, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's the Datsun 510 that I'm working on. It's red. That car is from Japan. And
I think I
Gerson bought
remember seeing a post about this not
yeah.
long ago.
Nobody in Japan would touch that car. They were like, this car is way too far gone. And Gerson says, want to bet? He says, I got a guy in the States that'll fix his car. And they're like, no way. I was like, yep. So he calls me. He says, guess what you're getting ready to build? But the reason I'm doing this car is because it's extremely rare. It is an early 70 510 Triple S coupe. So if you're not familiar with those, which you probably aren't because they're that rare, there was not very many made. So when Datsun first produced it, you know the 510. Everybody's familiar with the 510 little square box looking Datsun.
Mhm.
Very popular. This one is the most high demand 510 that was ever built, but they didn't build that many. Gerson found the car. The car was found in Russia in a barn, and then they shipped it down to Japan. I'm changing pretty much everything on this car, and I'm doing videos and I'm doing day-to-day steps through there. I'm on hold on right now on getting metal from Gerson for this car, but this is a full build. And the reason I'm doing this is because people say they can't do it. They said that car's not fixable, and that's not true. It finding the person that wants to take the time to fix the car will be the problem. But I'll do it. And if I can't do it, I'll look at it right off the bat and say, no, I can't touch that car because I know I've done so many cars that I know that they get so far gone that you just can't do nothing with them. And especially when there's body, you can buy bodies now. You can buy just about anything you want brand new. A lot of people don't like that, but if you want that particular car because yours is so bad, then go buy a new body. By the time you're done, it's going to be cheaper to do that. So Gerson has thrown me some bones, man. I'm telling you, he has thrown me some rusted out cars that I have fixed, a lot. And he's just like, I know you can do it. So that's why I have you do it. And my brother was the same way. When I looked at the car and I looked at him, I was like, man, this thing is horrible, dude. He's like, can we fix it? I was getting ready to cry. I'm like, hey, if you want to step in and buy all the metal, we'll fix this car. And he's like, yep, let's do it. So there's another guy that I did a double cab project with, Dave Rowland, builds beautiful cars. Very dear friend of mine. He has a double cab that we found out in the woods. And this bus was so bad, it was rotted in half.
Whoa, dude.
Yep. And we were out there on the man's property looking at the bus, and he looked up at me in the front. He was in the front, I was in the back, and he says, can you fix it? And I was like, I can fix it. He's like, yeah. And, because he always wanted a double cab. It took me about 3 years to put that bus back together, but he drives it all the time. It's beautiful. I'm going to try to save them, man. That's constantly telling people, man. I see it all the time on Marketplace or somebody, I'm scrapping this car. Dude, don't scrap the car. There's somebody out there that really needs that car because one day those cars are going to be gone.
Right.
And somebody's really going to want
Especially
them.
if you're scrapping them.
Yeah, that's the worst thing. To me, that's the worst thing you could do to a car.
It is. It's gone forever. It's gone.
It's probably a good thing that I don't have 500,000 acres because if I did, I'd have a 500,000 acre junkyard. Literally.
That's funny, man. Let's
Yeah.
touch on your show. I know that you host a VW event every year in January, and I know that this is kind of a way of you more or less giving back to the scene. What inspired you to start that event? How long's it been going on? Tell us about it for those that don't already.
Gosh, I think we're going into I think this is our 6th year this January 17th. So Henry's Depot was just opening up at the time, right when the COVID stuff was getting towards the end of it. Henry's Depot, if you've been there, it's just a hallway full of restaurants, and all the restaurants are really good in there. There's a killer bar. The atmosphere of the place is just really awesome. So we do lunch. All us guys do lunch every Wednesday. So we went down there to try the place out. And one day we went down there for lunch. I was driving a bus, and Sean Kelly that owns it, he's like, dude, I love that bus. He's like, would you be interested in doing a car show down here? I was like, yeah. Matter of fact, now that you say that, I said, I know a lot of people. And he's like, and when we put that show together in less than 6 months. So it was an instant thing. And he's like, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll handle everything. You get the people here. I was like, you got it. And we'll do it. So the first year that we did it, in the short amount of time that we did it, we only expected maybe 100 cars. It was 250 cars the first year.
Damn, dude.
Yes. So
Impressive.
and I think the reason that it took off like it did was because it was right at the end of COVID, and people wanted to get out. They were tired of being cooped up. You know, people weren't driving their Volkswagens because you had to wear a mask, and everybody was still kind of hesitant about going out, and we were just like, this is to get everybody, the Volkswagen community, back out. It's time. We've been put up enough.
Yeah, cooped up.
It was the season for it. And people ask me, they're just like, why do you have it in January? I'm like, because I want you to be cold at my show. And they're like, what? I'm like, there's no winter shows, man. Back then, Bubba and them had Winter Jam back in the day. That was out there in Daytona, and it was always in winter. And I remember it was some of the funnest time. It was cold, but everybody was bundled up, but your cars ran good. You weren't sweating. It was amazing. So it was just good. And I was like, let's do like a winter show. Let's just make it cold, and it just took off. And then the next year was our rain year. So they say every car show has a rain year. So we had our rain year. I think we had maybe 150 cars that year. And then the following year, we're up to 320 now.
Damn.
Yeah. So
That's
and it's
awesome,
grown,
man.
and we want it to grow. We didn't expect it to grow like it did, but Sanford's a good little town, man. There's a lot to do there. It's a good drive destination for people to come and check it out. It's like Nodo's one of my favorite shows. We spend the weekend over there, and it's you're so close to home. I mean, I'm 30 minutes from there, so it's like I'm this close to home, but it almost feels like you're still on vacation.
Yeah. No, that's
You
awesome.
know?
I'm gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna freak. I'm gonna get out there to that one to Nodo. I haven't been, but after hearing about it last year, last couple years actually, I'm gonna definitely check that one out. And then I almost came to yours last January, but I forget what had come up. I've got some young kids and something had come up, and I ended up not making it. But I got a buddy that lives up there too. I was going to connect with him, but I'll have to in the future come out and support you guys, and maybe even set up a little vendor spot or something with
Absolutely.
for the podcast. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I'll put you right in there.
Yeah, cool, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
and it's just, like I say, the Volkswagen community, man, it's just a good community, and they always have been. I remember there was one time driving down I-4, and right at an exit there was a Volkswagen that was broke down on the side of the road, and I was like, oh no. So I got, and he was on the other side of the road, so I got off, got back on. By the time I got to the guy, there's 2 Volkswagens already parked there.
See,
and I wasn't in my
almost kind of
Volkswagen,
something you can't really explain. You got to be a part of it to feel it. It's not really. If you told me that story, I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. But to feel that, to really go through that and see that, damn, man, how many people do you drive by maybe in your life? Think about it. Everybody that's listening, that's not a Volkswagen, that you just cruise right on by.
Right on by, yeah. I've done it myself. But and I look at them, I was like, they look like they're doing all right. But a Volkswagen person, I'm stopping regardless.
Right, we're stopping. I'm stopping. What's going on?
Because, the thing about Volkswagens is we've all been there. We have all been on the side of the road. If you own a Volkswagen, you have never been on the side of the road, period. For something. It's either small or it's big, but everybody has been parked on the side of the road in a Volkswagen.
I think we expect it.
We do,
and it's not something that any of us run from. I remember through the 90s into the early 2000s. I'm a teen into my 20s, and I developed this energy where if a car ever broke down on me, it was gone. And that's kind of, I was like, nah, man, you leave me hanging. You're not hanging around me. You're out. I'm selling you. Right. I don't feel that way about my Volkswagens. I never have. I'm like, I know you're going to break down on me. I know you are. You're going to leave me hanging. I'm going to be late for work.
Yep.
if it can happen, it's going to happen in one of these old cars, but it still doesn't detour us.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. A rule of thumb: if you put a toolbox in it, it'll never break down.
Oh, that's great. I like
Or
that.
if like me, I pile a bunch of parts in there. If we're going on a trip, say we go to St. Pete or something in the bus, I'll throw an extra distributor in there. Everything pretty much. If anything craps out, and then what craps out is the parts that you don't have.
St. Pete. I'm here. I'm born and raised here, so that's cool to hear that you come here. But I'm saying,
we brought the bus over to the Bully several times over there. Yeah.
Have you seen the Skyway rides?
Yeah, but I've never done it. I've driven my bus over it, but some of them buses, they get to the top and they're about peter out.
Yeah, I know it. 2024, we did the 25th year. We had 450 cars.
That's a lot.
The line was over 2 miles long. It was insane. Yeah. And then we stopped at Lot 5 Tropicana Field and just had a big hangout for several hours. We got it again, this year it'll be in April again on a Sunday, but we're also doing, you mentioned the winter thing. We're doing a nighttime. The PM ride is the same Skyway ride, but this time it's at night and everybody's cars are tricked out in the LED lights, the Christmas lights. So we got that coming up in November as well. If you follow those pages, V-Dubs Over the Sky.
I do.
Yeah.
So I pretty much follow. So my Facebook is like full a lot. Like, I guess because I post every day. And that's one of the reasons I post is I do it for two reasons. I do it because I want people to see exactly what we do and the process that we do it. But it's also for the customer. Like every day, my customer gets a phone full of pictures of exactly what was done to his car that day.
That feels
He knows
good,
where the money's going.
Yeah,
it
feels good.
It's for his build sheet, and it's really worked. And people, they love that. They want to be a part of it. They want pictures or something, instead of just dropping it off and they never see it again.
Right. No, and that's the feeling they have. It's like, what are they doing? Are they working? Are they not? And you can't help it, but that's the anxiety that most people have when they send their beloved car, to a shop and they have no updates. So that's a really good touch, man. Really good touch.
Yeah, we keep up there. But then back to my Facebook, that's why we post. So I follow everybody. A lot of times I don't get to comment. I don't have the time to comment, but I want everybody out there to know if you have pages or if you're Volkswagen related, I'm watching. I don't. Sometimes, my Facebook gets so flooded with stuff that it's hard for me to see everybody. But when I do, I'll hit a like or something because there's so many Volkswagen guys out there doing so many cool things. And
yeah, I love it, man. I love the community. It's buzzing. It's great. Again,
it is.
That's why I wanted to do this. Why I wanted to get out in front of you guys and show you guys off. You guys are all a bunch of cool MFs.
We try. I've been doing it a long time, man. I've got a lot of VWs under my belt. I think I've done, Hollis thinks it's more, but I think I'm right at like 100 buses under my belt.
Dang, man.
Probably since 03.
The experience there is just, it's a lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the split buses pretty well.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this community. I know it means the world to both of us, but if you had to describe the VW community in just one word, what would that one word be?
Family.
Family. All right.
Yeah.
Why that word? Why family?
Because for some reason, Volkswagen's peace. Like it brings peace. So it brings a community together. You go to different shows, you get different people. I've been to Corvette shows. I've been to Mustang shows. They're nothing, not even remotely close to Volkswagen shows. To me, every Volkswagen show that is out there is just one big family reunion. And it really is, because majority of the time, everybody knows everybody. It's just everybody getting together to show off what they've been doing for that year and what they're doing, what they've been doing, what they're going to do. And everybody just knows everybody. Everybody waves, That's the thing. You got to go to NoDo and camp. Because majority of the people camp there at the Nova campground, and you just drive around the whole park, and people they're watching. Hey, man, everybody knows everybody, and it really, to me, the Volkswagen community is just one big family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it stays. There's not a lot of drama. It's the Volkswagen world is not like, oh, my Volkswagen's better than yours, or no, you should have done this. It's like, dude, I love your car, man. It's awesome.
Right. And
It's
it
just
don't
like,
matter what, it don't matter how, far left or right it is. It could be
yeah,
shiny and glossy or, rusted and barely
yeah,
scraping in and they're still dope.
yeah. And there's people, that they look at cars and they're like, man, how could he do that to that Volkswagen? But they keep their mouth shut about it. They just don't express it. They're like, you know what? It's his car. He drives it. He has to look at the dash every day, not me. So, somebody else will probably like it more than me, but I'm not gonna downsize any car for that matter, just because it is, in the 60s. Look at Volkswagen in the 60s, man. Every hippie love peace person had one. My parents cruised around in buses when they were hippies.
Yeah.
It's just Volkswagen brings peace and love, man. It's just a really good community, and you're not going to find another one like it. You're not. You won't find them in any kind of other groups, like British cars or even American car clubs for that matter. It's a good community, but you get into those clubs and there's still there's politics in there.
Mm.
It's, oh, my car is a little bit better than yours, or I spent this much money on my car. That's not it. It's not about that with me. It's about the car. I could care less about you. And yes, that's another funny thing is, somebody asked me one time, says, why are all your cars, the windows tinted? I was like, because it's not about me. It's about the car. And they're like, well, I never thought of that. I'm like, well, yeah, people don't look, 90% of the time when you see a cool car going down the road, you never see the driver, because the first thing you look at, you're going to look at the car, and that's what's going to grab you. And you're going to be like, wow, no one sees the driver. So I tint my window so you don't see the driver.
Yeah,
And plus I like the comfort zone of a living room when I'm driving down the road. So,
yeah.
but yeah, that's
I'm a fan
definitely,
of tint. I'm a fan of deep tint. I like real dark tint too.
so do I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like it where I have to roll my windows down at night.
That's how my bus is. And actually, when I first did my bus, I tinted the windshield, but I took the tint off because I couldn't. It was such a reflection on the back seat that I couldn't see out the windshield.
Yeah,
So I took it off.
I've had a couple cars that were so dark. I put this vinyl strip. I had a 96 Jetta back in the day, first year of the new body style back then. And it was 97. And I had
Mm,
this black vinyl sun strip. I thought would be this really good idea to just 100% block, the light. So when the sun would set or rise, on my way to school,
right.
whatever, it was
Like a
just this,
permanent visor.
yeah, it was just this little, orange dot, like it wouldn't penetrate at all. But I also couldn't see through the windshield because then below that was tint and
Right.
it was too dark. I had to take it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. It's amazing that you could actually get it too dark.
Yeah. But you can, and it at night. At night,
Oh, yeah.
it always talks to you at night. You're like, shit, I can't see. I can't see. You're
Yeah.
rolling your windows down. You're like, am I good? Am I trying to open the
Yep.
door? Yeah, it's funny. All
That
right.
is
So
funny.
describe a typical week right now, work week right now at Davis Customs. Is it sun up to sundown, grinding and metal work, or kind of give me what it looks like? A typical week looks like.
A typical week is can not absolutely chomping at the bit on Sunday afternoon to get here on Monday morning. I open at 8 o'clock, so I'm normally 8 to 4, 4:30, hour lunch, and it's balls to the wall until lunch, and then it's balls to the wall until I leave, and then I go home and I leave everything here.
Nice.
My mindset stays here. I go home and hang out with the family. We're involved in church, so we do some church projects, and our kids are homeschooled. Typically Thursdays at the shop, they're here. The whole family's here on Thursdays. So we hang out and, they ride their scooters around the parking lot and we just do a family day at the shop. But we're a very tight knit family.
Mm-hmm.
So we stay very close, the four of us. We're very close together. And then I work through the week. I do lunch typically for an hour on Wednesday with the boys, and it's grind until Friday. And then Fridays are supposed to be my days where I work on my cars. But I
Okay.
do get projects in here that need to be done. They want their cars, so I'll just do that today. So that's a typical week.
Yeah.
I
Sounds
try not. I do get stressed out sometimes. It happens. Everybody does. You get a
sure.
car that's being a real pain in the butt, or you just making something. Sometimes when I post me making a piece of something, sometimes I've done it right on the first bat. Or secondly, it's probably the third or fourth one that I've made. So when I got into shaping metal, I was watching that Discovery Channel on Jesse James
Mm,
years ago.
hmm
And he was pounding out metal and he was building that bike at the first time. And I was just getting into motorcycles. So I said, I can do that. So I literally went out in my garage and built an English wheel and built my chopper that sits in my office. And that was in '05. And I built 90% of that bike. I posted it the other day on Facebook. It's yellow. It's a chopper. It's a ground pounder. It's got like tribal flames on it. Really cool bike. Reason it was outside. I took pictures of it because my daughter came and cleaned the office. So I was like, well, I'll take it outside and I'll, just get some sunlight on it. I've had it for years.
Is it on Davis Customs or is it on your
It
actual?
was, it was, it was, it was actually, it was one of my reels on my personal one, Jason Davis.
Okay,
But
I'm
yeah,
gonna go get the visual.
yeah, it's a cool bike. I built the tank, the bars, the frame, the rear fender. And it's actually, I built the gas tank extensions was the very first thing I built on my English wheel that I made from scratch. So I got like $15 my English wheel and I've had it since '05 and I use it. And so
Look
I've
at all
really
your
learned.
projects and all this work, dude. You are an animal.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot.
There's a
And it
lot,
goes way
lot.
back all the way. And it goes way before Facebook was ever introduced. I mean, I go way back. I got boxes of pictures. I was constantly going up to the CVS getting pictures printed out like weekly, rolls of pictures because I kept track of everything I did, back in the day. So yeah, I built rail buggies, I built cars, drag cars, motorcycles, I built wagons. I've restored refrigerators, I've restored an ice box. I restored a piano grid. This lady bought me this piano grid that she wanted smoothed out, and this thing was like 700 pounds. And she was going to hang it on her wall, and I actually built the structure that went into the wall so they could hang it on the wall in her house. So I don't really turn down anything. I mean, yeah,
Well,
that pedal car that's on my bus, the purple pedal car that's usually in the picture, I built that for the girls, and it still pedals.
mm.
And shit, I probably got 30 hours in that dang on thing. So, but it's just to be able to take that metal and just shape it into where I need it to be and to make what I need to make. It's awesome. It every time I do it, it makes me want to do it more.
when a
So
when a customer comes to you or finds you, you know, describe what your mindset is when a new project comes in. Like, how do you decide how far it's supposed to go? Is it a budget thing or is it do you just know by looking at them? Like, give me your opinion there.
I can pretty much look at a car and tell you now, I'm so educated myself with it that I can look at a car and figure out exactly where I'm going to go with it if I was going to do it. Typically, the first thing I ask a customer is, what do you want? Are you wanting a SEMA car or do you want a driver? Two different cars. I do not build SEMA cars. If, I don't, I build drivers. I want you to get out there and I want you to drive. And if you don't want to drive it, I'll come to your house. I'll get it and I'll go drive it and for you. It's just like that. Why build a car if you're not going to drive it? So typically 90% of my customers are drivers. They want to drive them. And probably 50% are sentimental family value cars. And then I asked them, I said, well, what's your budget? Because I'm $125 an hour at this shop. So I'm basically more or less, I'm a labor shop. So if you bring me your car, you bring me all the parts and I will charge you to put them on. And if you don't have the part, I'll make it. But everything gets seam sealed and delivered. I don't cut corners. If I'm in a rocker, I paint the inside of the rockers. I spend time and make sure it's not going to take another 30 years to rust out or 50 years again to rust out. I want it, you know, I want it right. And I tell customers, if your car comes into my shop, I treat it as if it was my own car. So, and that's another cool thing that I do that I love so much about these cars is my car list is huge. There's still thousands of cars that I want to get my hands on that I want so bad, but I'm at the point in my life now, it's like these cars are showing up with different owners, but I can treat it as my own and I get to experience the car. And a lot of times I get to go drive them. I'm doing a 35 Ford
Right.
Coupe right now, new motor transmission. Yesterday, I'm driving around with the AC on in a 35 Ford Coupe. How cool is that? Yeah, so my list has gotten a lot shorter because I can enjoy all my customers' cars if I want to, but when they're here, I treat them as my own. I would want that done correctly and nice. I don't want no crappy work done to my car. So, and they look at it like that, and then they will give me, okay, well, we can get this, we can get this, we can get this. And I'm like, I'll do it. I'll do whatever you want me to do. It doesn't matter. If you bring me the car, and it happens all the time, I get a car. I'm working on a Z28 Camaro, and he's like, I'm done with all the work that I did to it. He calls me today, says, hey, how much will it be if I shave and move the bumpers back a little bit? And I'm like, I'm $125 an hour. Takes me an hour. That's what it is, man. It takes me 2 hours. That's what it is. And he's like, we'll do it. So I'm very open with everybody that comes in the shop. I mean, I'm just absolutely 100% because this is a hobbyist business.
Mhm.
And when you're doing this, you're not messing with somebody, but you're tackling someone else's vision with them.
Hmm.
So
Great point.
everybody has their own vision of
Right.
what they want the car to look like. Sometimes it's not the greatest thing, but okay, I'll tell you a perfect example. Yesterday, I'm doing pans in a Bug. This is a 65 Beetle from Oregon. It was bought out of Oregon, and it is absolutely by far the most cleanest Bug I have ever laid my eyes on in this shop. There is absolutely no rust in this car, period. Like, it's had a one respray. It's never been bumped in the front, the rear. He unbolted all the pans. The pans are still shiny where the seal was.
What?
So beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful car. The battery area was rotted out on the pan, and he wants both pans fixed. And I'm like, are you sure you want me? I says, I can just graft in a battery box and then you still have an original car here. He's like, no, because now if you do one pan, the other one's going to look crappy. So just do them both. I'm like, oh, it hurt. Man, it hurt to have to cut them pans out of there yesterday with no rust. But
Oh.
sometimes it's the customer, it's his vision. So if it was mine, I would have doctored them up, cleaned them, 415 them, and we would have been rocking that thing. But this guy, his vision was a little bit different than mine. So I absolutely have to respect that. As bad as it hurts to cut the pan, I'm not going to say, okay, come get your car and get it out of my shop because you're not doing exactly what I want done.
I need to do that to my thing. It's not.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, the floors aren't gone by any stretch. They're starting to rust, especially in the back section. But I wanna like pour 15 them and just kind of start over, seal them up, and at least have that just not looking so rough down there. But anyhow, back to you. So I've got some rapid fire style questions. These are questions that have a fast response or a fast answer. You ready to rock them?
Sure, man. Let's do it.
All right. Hot Wheels or Matchbox?
Oh, Hot Wheels by far.
All
Matchbox had some cool ones though.
right. Favorite VW model of all time?
Bus.
Now,
Bus.
60s bus. We split
Oh
window
yeah,
bus.
yeah, split bus all the way. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
One rust repair tool that you can't live without.
Welder.
That's a fun answer.
Yeah, man.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Need that.
Yeah.
Best feature of DC. DC's his double cab, by the way.
Yeah. Double door walkthrough. Just all the patina. It's factory patina. We call it factory patina too. That's the best feature on that bus is that it's a double door. It's pretty cool when you can open up both doors and walk through there.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah, that thing's got surround sound in it. So I took the air box off in the ceiling and extended that box out and put a entertainment up there so the girls watch TV. Yeah, they'll get in there and watch Star Wars. The neighbors next door be like, what are you guys watching over there? And the girls are watching Star Wars in the bus in the garage, or watching Chip and Dale or something.
Yeah,
so,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
it's got surround sound. Yeah.
How about a dream project that you may not have built yet? God, this is a tough one because man, you've been around
You
the
ain't,
block.
yeah, you ain't kidding, man. I would have to probably say my 47 Fleet Line. That's been, you know, I've wanted a 47 Fleet Line since we built that 39 Hudson back in '88. You
Wow,
know, 'cause- yeah, I mean that was
it's a
I have
long time,
always
man.
loved the Fleet Line, man. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and also,
the Sanford vibe there,
yeah,
beach life or small town charm.
beach life. I do surf. I surf with Bubba. We all still get together and go surfing.
I
I do
saw
love myself.
pictures of that. Yeah, I saw some surfing. I grew up,
Yeah,
I'm West Coast, but I grew up surfing here, and then we used to drive over to East Coast, take the beeline, come through Orlando, and end up in Daytona, and then south of that, we'd go RCs, we'd hit Spanish House, we'd hit Ponce Inlet, New Smyrna, that whole Patrick's Air Force Base, that whole
yeah,
East Coast flavor. So
yeah.
I remember the surfing days too, 90s. Those were some good times. I left 2008, stopped surfing, came back 2022, and still not surfing. Uh,
Well,
my
yeah.
my kids are out there now though, and they're enjoying it. So
That's probably
yeah,
one sport that I probably won't give up just because I love it so much. You know, Bubba and I, we all surfed when we were younger. You know, Rob Mulligan, we all surfed together in New Smyrna in high school days. You know, it's back in the '80s,
yeah,
and
shredding. You guys were the shredders.
we were something. I mean, we don't know if we were shredding, but we were riding. You
Well,
know, it didn't.
we used to pull up on the locals, at the spots up and down the East Coast, and you could always tell the guys that lived there because they were just so much better, so much faster,
Yeah,
and they drop in on the wave harder and they cut
well,
back harder. You're like, damn man, who pissing at
yeah.
those Cheerios?
Well, New Smyrna is my hometown for surfing. I'm right next to New Smyrna, so and that's where we grew up surfing. And I actually learned to surf in New Smyrna. So yeah, we can go out there on a flat day, and I can shoot. Sometimes I can catch a boat wake, man. I mean, it'll come
Any
in.
shark stories?
Gosh, I got tons of them, man. I've never been bit.
Bet.
Mm.
Okay.
So
You
yeah,
ever been chased? I know the hammerheads come in there and
I've never been chased by a shark. You know, they got a pretty bad rap. They're not as bad as you think they are. They're just as scared of you as they are. It's mistaken identity 90% of the time with the
Mhm.
shark attacks. You're actually playing in the refrigerator, man. I mean, that's their feeding zone. It's
Yeah, it's a good
where they
way to
are.
say it.
I'm a little more south of the jetties. I really don't smoke. I don't really don't surf down there much anymore. I got my little spot that I did when I was a kid when I learned, and I surfed that area. I have stepped on them. Pretty big shark I landed on one time. I've had little baby sharks actually. I'm paddling out, and little baby shark jumped up on my landed on my board, and he's flopping between my fin, and I'm just like, whoa, and it
Whoa.
was a shark.
Crazy.
And I've been on the same waves with sharks. I've
Mhm.
surfed with them before. Pretty good sized sharks, but like I say, that was clear water days, so they know you're out there, and if they really want to bite you, they're going to bite you. But it's
Right.
90% of the time, it's just mistaken identity. They're not targeting you.
I spent
I
a
hope.
lot of time, a lot of hours, many days, skipped high school and went surfing for the hurricane swells, etc.
Mm.
And I never had any close calls, but I know they're there.
Oh, they're there.
I've
Oh
seen
gosh,
them.
they're
I've
there.
seen them, and there's been the warnings on the beach, and and
Yeah,
all that. So, but yeah, 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 yeah. All right,
yeah,
so
there was.
beach life was the answer though for
Yeah,
Sanford vibe. How about music? What kind of music you guys into? You got any music playing at the shop?
gosh. Okay, so I have a system in everything. Everything has a system in it. So
So you're a
music is
music guy.
probably. I'm a music guy. My greatest music that I love 80s rock.
Okay.
So back in the days before I got in surfing, I had long hair, played drums. I
Oh
mean,
hell yeah, man! A
yeah,
rocker,
I
some
was a
rat,
hairband rocker,
some
big
poison, some
time.
rat. Yeah.
Yeah, played so I still play drums today. I have a drum set at the house, and I play occasionally. One of my good friends, he's a guitarist. He wants to come over and play a little bit too.
Cool,
Get back
man.
into that scene. But music, stick figures, probably one of my top line artists. I've seen him 5 times. I follow him. Matter of fact, he just had a son, so he's a dad now. So he settled down. Stick figure. We do some worship music. I have my worship days then I listen to the worship music and, elevation worship and stuff like that. I'll pick my days at the shop and just get into that, you know. And then just pretty much anything, man. I love all kinds of music. I don't really listen to rap, and I'm not huge into country, but I know some of the songs. But I'm more of a rocker, I guess, than anything. That's your alternative reggae is Stick Figure and all those bands, and I kind of like that because it's really upbeat. It's not a lot of drama music, and it just
Yeah.
good energy.
Yeah, I like good energy. I grew up on probably more of the hip hop culture, here, St. Pete, 90s, Tupac and Biggie and all that was real big at that time.
Yeah.
MTV was real big with MTV Raps, and just a couple stations north was BET, and we were just real heavy into the hip hop scene. I feel like as I grew up, the the quality rap music, which we can call it, is gone. Now it's a lot of, I don't even know what the hell they're doing now. It doesn't. Yeah,
It's more like a violence rap,
it's
if
something.
anything.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
really get it. The artistry, I feel like, is more gone. They're using more computers and stuff to make the music, and especially the vocals and stuff. And it's like, what is this stuff? So I switched up, and started listening to kind of a little bit more of a country vibe. I feel like it's still rap. It's just with some singing behind it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
you
there's a
know?
lot of it. I like the outlaw country. I like outlaw country. That's pretty good stuff. It's more like a rap. I like some sort of rap. I'm more into like when the Beastie Boys came out.
Oh hell yeah, love the Beastie
Then
Boys.
you kicked up. Then I figured out bass, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to have bass. So I started putting systems in and start to listen to that kind of music, and I loved
Yeah.
it, and I still love it to this day. I mean, I listen to the Beastie Boys all the time, man, just because it takes you back to the good old days.
Yes.
It's funny thing about music is you can hear a song, and you'll remember exactly where you heard it, when you heard it, the day you heard it.
Yes.
But sometimes you can't remember last week.
And isn't that amazing? And music
Yeah.
does that. It does that for me too. I think it does that for a lot of people, but I think that's why music becomes so meaningful to us, is because we can
Yeah.
attach ourselves to, real core memories of things. And then it might be several years before you hear that song, and then it comes up again and you're like, oh, like, look, I'm getting
Mhm.
the goosebumps right now just thinking
Yeah,
about it.
man.
It'll
Yeah.
pull you right back in. You'd be like, "Oh, man, I was in this kitchen standing over making this pasta
Right.
dish."
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, crazy, man, crazy.
Just remember it. But yeah, man, music. So we have the shop has a system. They can
Okay.
hear me. Oh yeah, it's loud. The Holly will come out and she's like, "Can you turn it down?" I'm like, "Nope, I'm working." You know,
Oh, good.
if I get in that
Man.
groove out there when I'm making stuff, a lot of times when I'm doing something like I'll be making something for a car or something. I've got the music jammed up, and sometimes I'll go out there. It's very funny sometimes when I'm building motors, I listen to 50s music.
Okay.
So it's very strange, and I think it comes from working with Ron at that time in
Yeah.
his machine shop because that's all he listened to was oldies. So it kinda takes me back, and what it does is it kind of refires my memory, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, I remember I gotta set this bolt first," or something like that.
Yeah.
So I
Impressive.
kinda put my music towards my, that era, and it helps because it refires your memory a little bit, because it makes you remember.
Yeah, yeah, it sure
You know?
does. Like we're saying, music takes you back there. What advice would you give to a young builder, the next generation that's coming in to do the same type of rust work and VW rust work like you do? What type of advice would you give the next generation?
Don't give up. Just don't give up. You're gonna have your highs, you're gonna have your lows, you're gonna have your struggles, you're not gonna climb right that top ladder in the metal world right off the bat. It is an art and it's something, you have to stick with it. It's just like anything. If you get good if you stick with it, it's just with surfing, music, cars, it doesn't matter what it is. The more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
more
It's
experience you get, the more, and it goes with anything, anything that you apply yourself to. I think the more experience you get, the kind of the easier it gets for you.
Yeah. I'm
That's good
still it's
advice.
like I said, I still learn. I'm still
Right.
a guy told me one time, he says, "You know what? You will never stop learning.
Yeah.
You may think you know everything, but you will continue to learn." And that's a stat. That's a known fact. I mean, I learn daily, and it's getting better because now I'm learning more stuff on like TikTok and just doing videos and watching these cars and stuff. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's pretty much everybody's a teacher in their own sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we are in this information age,
yes,
Like
people are dying for information. They want to know. Google, man. If we had Google in high school, man, I'd probably be some bigwig right now doing,
no kidding. No kidding.
yeah.
When Jackass came out and the whole BAM and all those guys were making millions in movies off of just acting like complete idiots. I remember me and my buddies were like, can y'all imagine if we would have had cameras? like
Uh,
we were doing some crazy stuff.
we
But
did.
yeah.
But our problem is we would have been like, I didn't have no time for a camera. I was too busy playing.
Right. Right.
I didn't have a camera.
They weren't quite as easy back then. They were like these VCR tapes on your shoulder.
Yeah. 50 pounds, you got to carry that thing around. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to go do stupid shit and just do it. We didn't care,
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we jumped bicycles. I was into BMX when I was a kid. I got into bicycles huge. I mean,
yeah, me too.
Probably when I got out of models, I was still building models, but I got into bikes and I verged from bikes, and then I went to dirt bikes and motorcycles, and then I just started gradually going up to the cars.
I did bikes too. I think I raced till I was about 15. As soon as I got, started getting behind the wheel of a car, I was like, oh, I'll never work that hard again.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's everybody's way right there. It's like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah,
Bike, I'm done with the bike.
It was good though. It was good. I was a skater for many years, coming up, and then I got into BMX. And we had an MBL, a major bicycle league, I think was it back then. We had an MBL track right in Azalea, and it was a nice track, man. Wednesday nights were practice, Saturdays were race days. Yeah, and I raced, I practiced every Wednesday, I raced every Saturday, and we started to travel, started going around the state, started picking up some sponsors, and it was fun, man. It was fun. We had a good time. I was fast. I could air it out, and I was fast. But I'm telling you, it was like a light switch. I used to have people coming and watching me, and and then as soon as I got access to a car, with my restricted driver's license, I started missing practice. I'm like, well, it's no big deal, I want to practice driving my car, and I'm like, bike who?
Yeah, and then before you know it, you're too old to ride the bike again. It's just like, yeah. I restored a PK Ripper, an '86 PK Ripper.
Yes, Southeast bikes. I had a profile, and I loved the cruiser class. I was a 24-inch. That was what I raced. But I had profile cranks, profile neck, profile seat post clamp, profile bars, and profile is still right here in Bay Pines, Florida.
No kidding.
Yep, they're still right here. They still make bikes right here. Yep, they're still kicking. They're still here, still making bikes right Bay Pines, which is right out on the way out to Madeira Beach. But sorry, didn't want to go down a rabbit hole.
No, that's all right.
Any shout outs? You got any shout outs that you want to give? We're pretty much at the end here, brother.
Just want to shout out to anybody that can spread the word about the show. January 17th, 2026. Get that Volkswagen out, get it cleaned up, bring them out. Let's visit, let's talk, hang out for the day.
And where can people find you if they want to look for you or look up your work? Those that I know everybody around here knows you, but I'm fortunate enough to say that this podcast is downloaded in 36 countries.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm in a couple countries. I'm in Brazil, Japan, and Africa. DavisCustoms.net. You can reach us there. You can pretty much Google anything Rust and we'll pop right up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they can find me on Instagram. They can find me on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, show some chop tops that we did and some projects on those. Instagram, we're all over the place.
All under Davis Customs on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah. All Davis Customs. Yeah. Davis Customs was named from that mentor, Ron Smith, that owned Seminole or the machine shop. I said, what would a good name for my business? He's like, Davis Customs. I'm like, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that was easy. You're like, thanks.
Yeah. And then our logo that's on there now, that was done in about 2 minutes. Holly was tired of waiting for me to come up with a logo.
It's so
And
cool. I love the bus. It's like the bus front.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's like, she sat down at the table. She says, give me a logo right now. Do not get up. And I scribbled it. And she's like, oh my God, that's it. Wow. It took you this long to do that. And it stuck. So that's our logo.
Sweet.
So
I love it. And that's a wrap for this episode of Dub Life Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people in the dubs that drive their dreams. If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at Dub Life Diaries or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. dublifediaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.